Hello, my string players, and welcome to our tuning video where I'm going to show you how to use a tuner and how to change the pitch on your instrument. So the first thing we're going to talk about is these clip-on tuners. Most of you have used them or seen them in our lessons. I have one that looks like this kind of shape, and then I also have one that looks like this. This is the one a lot of you guys use. They all work the same way. You can find them on Amazon. Actually, you can find this exact tuner. It's by a company named Snark, S-N-A-R-K, for $10 on Amazon. You can also find tuners that are up to like $25 on Amazon. You do not have to buy a tuner, okay? You can continue to play on your string instrument at home, and once you get back to school, we can tune it up, and everything that you've been doing, as long as you're using the correct fingers in the correct positions, your music will sound exactly the way it's supposed to sound, okay? If you do have a tuner or you want to get a tuner, I'm going to show you how to tune your instrument and keep it in tune. So for each of your strings, and I'm going to show you first, this is my ukulele, I'm going to show you on my ukulele how the tuner works. So you clip the tuner onto your headstock or onto your scroll. Most of you have seen me do that in lessons, okay? If you're a fifth grader, that's something we're already working towards learning how to do, having you guys tune your own instruments, okay? So you clip the tuner on. You do not want it to touch your pegs, whether you're tuning a guitar, a ukulele, a cello, a viola, a violin. You want it just on the scroll or the headstock. Okay, when you play your string, you're not going to touch your string at all because you want it to be that open note, whatever that string is tuned to. So this highest string on my ukulele is an A. So my tuner is going to show me the letter, and you'll see this little yellow marker is going to move. We really want it to be right in the center. Same thing with my other tuner. Same thing with every tuner. You want it to be right in the center, and usually we'll light up green if it's in the center. Okay, if it's a little bit more to the left of the center, that means that you're flat and your note needs to come up, so we're going to tighten our string. If it's a little bit to the right of the center, or a lot right of the center, that means your note is too high, you're too sharp, so we need to bring it down, and we do that by loosening our string. So for an example, this ukulele is already tuned. I'm going to show you what that should look like. So my top note is an A. See how it comes right up to the green? That's what you want. You can also see that it is an A there. A couple other things. I always set my tuner to Chromatic. There are some tuners that have built-in violin tuning or cello tuning or bass tuning. I like Chromatic, and if it has a number, you want it to be at 440, okay? That's your wavelength resonation here that you want. So we want a 440 if you're using that Chromatic. So usually it'll be on Chromatic. That's what you're looking for. When you play your note, you want it to be right in the middle and it will light up green, okay? So that's what we're looking for. I'm now going to switch to my violin, which I have made out of tune so that I can show you what to do if you're sharp or if you're flat, okay? All right, so here we are now with my violin. You'll see I've switched to this Snark tuner, but it's going to work exactly the same way my tuner on my ukulele worked. I've made some of these strings sharp and some of them flat so I can show you how to adjust. When you're adjusting the tuning on your violin or your cello or your viola, I would like for my students to use your fine tuners first. When I say fine tuners, I mean these little knobs at the bottom, okay? We really do not want to tune with our pegs until we absolutely have to, until I've shown you in person how to do that. And here's the reason why. If you start cranking these pegs, you can pop a string. If you're not pushing your peg into your peg box the correct way, not only could you damage your instrument, but you could put your peg in such a way that it continues to slip and your note is constantly flat, and therefore your tuning really didn't do any help. And so then students like to turn them more and more, and that's what leads to breaking of a string. If you go the other way and they're too loose, all of a sudden your bridge can fall out, right? Because you remember the only thing holding your bridge in is the tension of these strings. So for most of our tuning, we're going to use our fine tuners right down here, okay? So I've got my tuner clipped on to my scroll. It's not actually touching any of my pegs, okay? Here we go, and it's on. So I'm going to start with this high E. I'm going to play it, and let's see where we're at. All right, it's almost in the center. You see that? but it's still in the red. So that's telling me, because it's on the left, that it's a little bit flat. So I'm going to tighten that string using my fine tuner. So I'm going to give it just a little turn, because a little turn goes a long way. And I'm going to play it again. A little bit better. Keep going. There it is. See how I'm right at the green? Beautiful. That's what we want. So that's our E. Now I'm going to move over to my A string. That is reading as a G sharp, but it's very sharp, so it's almost an A. So I'm going to use this fine tuner, turn it a little bit, and when I'm using my fine tuner, if I was holding my violin and I just brought it down in front of me, I'm turning those tuners away from me to make it tighter. I would turn them towards me to make my string looser. So that's an A. Ooh. So I'm going to tighten it a little bit more. There we go. Beautiful. So let's go to our D string. Oh, my D string is sharp. You can see it's past the center. It's over into the yellow. So that means my string is too tight. So I'm going to turn these fine tuners the opposite way to loosen my string a little bit and bring that pitch down. A little bit more. Better. I tell most of my students, if you're only one, see how that one was at the green and it was one stripe of yellow over? If you're one stripe over, just leave it. Because as you play, that string will stretch and it will stretch out and your note won't be sharp anymore. It will come right in tune. So usually, even when I'm tuning your instruments in lessons, if you're a tiny bit sharp, I leave it go. So that's fine for your D. Let's go over to our G string. Flat. Okay. So I'm going to tighten that string because I'm in the red. I want to get it to the center. So again, using my fine tuner, turning it away from me. Oh, I went too much. See how I'm past that green? So I'm going to take it back a little bit. There we go. And everybody is nice and in tune. All right, so if you have a tuner at home, I hope that you have a lot of success tuning your instrument. If it gets to a point where your fine tuners are all the way in, I want you to stop. All right, and we can address that when we get back to school. Because usually once your fine tuner gets to a point where you can't turn it anymore, you've got to take that fine tuner all the way out and tune with the pegs. And I would like for you to wait until I can show you how to do that. But that's something else I'll teach you how to do. All right, great job, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you had some success tuning your violin. And again, even if you don't have a tuner or you can't tune your violin, keep practicing. As long as your fingers are in the right spots on the right strings, it's gonna sound correct once we get those strings all in tune.